All right, how's everybody doing today? We're working on this beautiful Marathon Coach right here. I wanted to bring you guys in and show you what we got going on. We've already changed one of the shocks. We're about to change the other drive axle shock and the tag axle shock. We've got tires removed to replace the shock, and we're about to do some brakes on there. He's got some heat checking. He's got some wear. Heat checking isn't too bad on one side, but the rotors themselves got some deep grooves in it. That'd be something y'all would have to feel. And the pads are getting pretty low to the point that it's time for a brake change. We got a couple torn boots. So we've ordered some Norbram pin kits so that we can surface the calipers like they're supposed to be serviced. And we also ordered some hubcaps. Here it is right here, hubcaps. The hubcaps that's on there, looks like somebody's pulled one of them off before. You can see all the, and you can tell it's been weeping. You can look at the little bit of oil that's sitting right there. But look at all this gook that they did trying to glue that cap on. I could probably take it off, grind it, maybe repair it, but it's not worth it to me. Replace the cap, because the cap is much less expensive than bearings, rotor, wheel, fire, spindle, all the above. And we don't need no more Prevost spindle jobs right now. But anyway, so that's what we got going on here. We are trying to replace this shock right here. Let me get down here. But there was no threads on it. Let me show it to you. We've got the, as you can see, we've got the calipers off. Both sides. Here's the calipers here. We set them here. They're going to get cleaned up, and we're going to put some bushings and stuff in it. You can look at there's a couple tears in the bottom of this bushing, and the pins don't slide very easily. So we're going to go through these and make sure that they're good to go before we put them back on. And you can see on the rotor itself, on this side, it's not too bad. You see some heat checking here. On this side, it's a little worse. And you can kind of see these deep grooves. Hard to see on camera. These deep grooves, and we've got some big checking on the back. Airbags don't look like they're too bad. They look like they've been changed. I don't see really any, they look dirty. I don't see any cracking or dry rotting in the bags as of now. These shock bushings definitely needed to be replaced, and we've got those addressed. So you see we've got this one done. You can see that new one right there. And then we've got this one done right here. Well, the problem with the other side was when we took the nut off, whoever replaced the shock the last time, because the shocks were replaced, they didn't have, this bus would have come from the factory with conies all the way around it. And this bus had Monroes on it. But you see the shape of the bushing right there. You can see the Monroe right there. So these are cheaper shocks that you would use if you're chartering. They're made for charter buses. They're not really designed for the weight of this coach. The fronts already had conies in them. They're adjustable conies on the front. But the back, whoever changed the shocks once upon a time in this coach's life, they did not put good quality shocks on there. They will notice the difference with these conies, because these conies are not only a better shock, but they are a different rating. They are designed for this style coach, whereas those other ones are designed for a charter bus. Charter bus may only have people in it. You don't have a black tank, you don't have freshwater tank, you don't have tile floors, you don't have none of that stuff, whereas this bus does. So it's important, very important to put back what they have on these coaches. Not all shocks are created equal. Let's go back to the bushing. So whoever replaced the shock, they did not put the nut on correctly, and it is stripped completely out. The threads came off. So basically this is what it looked like. You can see the new one right there. I cut it off because it's easier to get a socket on it. So I cut this piece off, and that lets me get a socket on there like this. And so I can get this piece out. This piece usually has some Loctite on it. So heating up the block before taking it out will keep you from breaking this. Thankfully it came out though. I'm very happy about that. That had been a phone call I wouldn't have liked to make. So we've got the new one. We'll get this, put in. We won't use red Loctite. I'll use more of a blue Loctite. I think is better. This isn't a critical component to the point that, you know, we never want it to come out. We want to be able to service it if we have to. The Loctites aren't created equal. Red Loctite is for something that you either can't get to, a driveline bolt, a flywheel bolt, something that's spinning, very critical, that you're going to put in and you will most likely never take it out again. The book does not tell you that you have to use Loctite. So that's why I think in this situation, blue Loctite is good. All right, so we're back on this Prevost that we've been working on. So we've rebuilt these hubs, got new rotors, new bearings, new seals, and we're putting them on. And I wanted to go over something that's very important on these Prevosts. It requires a special tool. And if you look at it, it's got a unique end to it. So this side's is very unique, and it fits this special nut in there. As you can see, it fits this special nut like that. That's one thing, but probably the most important thing about this tool is if you look at the other side, you notice it's threaded. Well, what this tool does is, I've already got this on to kind of show you, but the important part is you actually need to seat the hub onto the spindle. I know you have to seat the seal to the spindle also, but get the hub far enough back so that you can get this special washer on there. If you see the lines right there on both sides, that has to sit perfectly in this groove. Like that. See how it goes on and off? In that groove. One of the most common problems is they'll think they have the hub all the way on, and then this nut right here, or this washer, will be cockeyed on there. And then they'll tighten this outer nut up to that, and that inner bearing may be cocked. So the hub will feel tight, and you'll spin it, and you won't get any free play in it, because that back bearing's cocked. And 90% of shops, if they don't have the special tools, they're not putting the dial indicator on the end of it, double checking in play in the wheel. Very important that you do that. But what will happen is if that washer gets turned like that so that those lines aren't in there, when you tighten it up and then this hub starts rolling down the road, then that bearing that was cocked on there now comes uncocked, and now the hub is loose, and you will lose this wheel. This wheel will actually come off. Bearings won't be tight. Oil will go everywhere, and if you don't catch it, the wheel will be just wobbling on there, and then the wheel will fall off. It's very, very, very common that I see that. Oh, we had, you know, such and such shop just put new bearings in it. I don't understand how the wheel fell off, and I need a spindle now. Well, that's the reason. You have to, like I said, screw this on. Another thing that I like to do with the smaller tag hubs is I did it on the other side to kind of show you. I personally like to put the bearing on the spindle first. So if you look at it, the bearing's all the way onto the spindle. The reason for that is if you look at the wheel seal is larger than the bearing. And it's hard to set this hub up there and get that bearing on and everything all at one time because that bearing is smaller than the seal. You'll go to lift it up and slide it on, and then the bearing will fall down and it'll cock. And again, this bearing right here is so common for it to cock onto the spindle. And sometimes when a bearing cocks, boy, they can be really hard to get off. They get jammed on there. They don't come off very easy. So that's why, again, it's so important to use that special tool. It's worth the money. They are expensive, and I don't know if you can even buy them anymore. So you need to take it somewhere where they do have the tool. See how that bearing's in there? I cannot get that washer on this bearing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tool and we're gonna screw it onto the end of the spindle. Now, do not confuse this tool with setting the seal. This tool does not set the seal. It sets the hub. You still have to set the seal like you would any other wheel bearing assembly. So basically, you just put this on there, thread it on. I like to stick my pry bar through it like this, and then we're gonna turn it. And as you can look, you can see that hub is now being pressed back, and you're gonna tighten it till it stops. That's it. Now, what we'll do is we'll back it off. Now with it backed off, as you can see, now we can get that washer in there. We've got everything nice and cleaned up. So you can see that washer fits on there, nice. And then now we put this nut on. And then you do your normal bearing adjustment, and then check your end play. So very, very important. And as you can see now with that on there, somebody's used a chisel on this. Don't use chisels on them, guys. So it should fit on there flat. So now it fits over top of that nut, and now you can do your normal bearing adjustment procedure. So now we got it to this point where you're gonna do your regular bearing setting procedure. So where you set the seal and you set your end play on your bearings. Remember guys, very important to check your end play with a dial indicator. Just that few extra seconds or minutes that it takes to do that can save you thousands, because it can catch anything that may be incorrect. I know if you've done 100 in my shop, regardless of how good you are and how long you have been here, before the ticket can be processed and the customer can pick up the bus and the job can be done, it's required for you to get a dial indicator reading. And it's important because even myself, I've been doing this a long time. Just that extra few minutes that you put the dial indicator on there and double check your work. And that's the key, it's double checking your work. Anything can happen. You could have an issue with a bearing, you can have a defect with anything. Or maybe they didn't machine a bearing correctly or something. I've had all kinds of things over the years. But that extra few minutes it takes to double check your work can save the customer and yourself thousands, and potentially save somebody else's life. Because if this wheel comes off, there's a heavy wheel. If it hits someone's car, it's a bad day. So double check your work. Very, very, very important. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I've got a meeting I gotta go to, so I gotta finish this up real quick.